Welcome back to the meadow. This is the second part of Mint's origin kithood, and we hope you enjoy.
Mint Kit continued to stare down at her friend. What happened? She hadn't even been in the water for long. So, what's wrong with whispering?
Ignoring Mint's question, Soot picked up the injured Kit and made her way back up the gorge.
Mint followed Soot, silently hoping whispering would be okay. Reaching the camp, Soot led them back to where the medicine den was. Once they reached the den, Mint spoke up again. What's wrong? Is whispering okay?
Soot set whispering in the nest. Hush, Mint Kit. She then turned to the two medicine cats, Moondance and Oakpaw. She fell down the gorge. By the time I got there to rescue them, she was already like this, and Mint was already in the water.
Still in shock, Mint crept over to where Whispering was lying. Whispering? Her voice trembled. She didn't hear a response. She crept even closer and began to panic. Wake up! Her whole body shook as she looked over her friend's injured form. The small kit's body was breathing, but just barely. Whispering, wake up! You're going to be okay. Tears began to roll down her face. Please don't leave. You're my best friend. You were supposed to be okay. Her whole body began to shake as Whispering went limp. Whispering, please don't go. I promised you would be okay. I guess I lied. After a moment, she moved over to Whispering, curling up around her body. Stay with me.
Soot leaned forward, grabbing Mint Kit by the scruff. It's over. You can't do anything about it now. She carried her towards the nursery.
Her head began to spin. Stop! She began to try to wriggle out of her grasp. We can't just leave her there.
Hold still! She set Mint down.
Mint curled up. Why did we leave Whispering? What if she wakes up and we aren't there?
Soot rested on her side, looking down at Mint. She's dead. I won't let this slow your progress. We don't speak of what happened here ever again. Do you understand?
No, she can't be dead. She sat up and stared at Soot.
Just go to bed, Soot muttered.
I promised she wouldn't get hurt. We need to tell someone. Tell the whole clan what happened.
We never will. She shoved Mint's snout into the moss nest with a large paw. Now stop crying and sleep. After a moment of silence, she continued. After all, you wouldn't want the clan thinking badly of you after you let her die.
Mint shut up, holding her breath and hoping Soot would just leave.
As soon as Mint's eyes closed, Soot left the nursery, heading for the warrior's den to rest.
As soon as she felt like Soot was gone, Mint descended into more whimpers. Her whole body shook from the oncoming fever and sobs. She was back to being alone, but this time it was worse. Her mother hated her.
Sleepout hesitated for a moment as she watched Soot curl up in her own nest. She stood and crept over to the nursery. Mint Kit?
Mint shot up, gazing up at the unfamiliar she-cat. Yeah?
Are you all right? She looked down at the kit with worry in her eyes.
She remained quiet for a moment. I guess. Her heart pounded as she subconsciously looked around, making sure Soot wasn't anywhere to be seen.
Why don't we go talk? Sleek suggested, picking Mint up by the scruff.
She allowed Sleek to pick her up by the scruff. Where could she be taking me? She thought a little nervously, but really didn't want to be anywhere close to where Soot could see her.
She took Mint to a stream near camp and gently set the kit down. I saw what happened at the gorge. She spoke in hushed tones.
Mint looked up. You did? She tried to steady her breathing.
Mm-hmm. She let out a sigh and looked down at Mint with a frown. That shouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have happened if I had been there to save her. Her eyes filled with tears again.
Sleek's ears pinned back with worry at Mint's words. It wasn't your fault. What Soot Strike did was against the warrior code.
She just wanted me to prove myself. I wanted to prove myself, but instead, I failed. I failed her, and She trailed off, looking down at her paws.
You have no need to prove yourself to any cat, not as a kid. Soot Strike is to blame for Whispering's death, not you.
You promise?
I promise. She laid down to get on the kit's level. I will always be here if you need me, Mint Kit. No kit should have to go through what just happened.
She looked up at Sleek. Okay. Mint felt a weight lift off her shoulders. The tears continued, but this time it was tears of relief. She slowly nodded. Thank you, miss.
You can call me Sleek. She offered a kind smile. It's morning. We should get back before your mother wakes up.
She yawned. Okay. She let Sleek pick her up once more. The rain began to fall again, and she shivered. She never liked the rain, but now she disliked it even more. Eventually, Sleek took her back to the nursery and set her down. With a brief goodbye, she left Mint to find some sleep. As soon as Mint was settled, she felt Soot standing over her and was nudged roughly.
Wake up, Mint Kit.
Mint buried her nose in the moss nest. She hadn't even rested for a minute. It's too early and I'm tired. She curled into herself, hoping Soot would leave.
I won't say it again. Soot's ears flattened as she shoved Mint from the nest. Get up. You've been asleep all night.
She rolled from her nest and stood up. No! Soot had never been rough with her before, at least not that she could remember.
An elder by the name of Rufus approached Soot and her kit. Soot? He asked.
What? She shot a glare towards the elder.
Leave her alone. She needs sleep. He gave a concerned look over to Mint.
No, she's my kit and I decide when she gets up. She bared her teeth in a warning before picking up Mint and carrying her out of the nursery. She set her down in front of the prey pile. Grab something to eat, she said, glancing up at the rain.
Soot! She began to shiver even more as her fever began to make itself more known. I don't want to eat. I just want to sleep.
What's gotten into you? She tried to hold back a snarl. You obey me. She nudged Mint towards the prey pile again.
No, she protested, turning back to face Soot. I don't feel good, she sees. The rain wasn't helping.
She bit back a growl that was rising in her throat. Fine. We can go see the medicine cat. Reaching the med den, she looked around. Oaktail?
Oaktail turned to face Soot. Yes?
Mintkit's been feeling under the weather. Probably just seeking attention, though.
No, I'm not, she grumbled.
Oaktail looked down at Mint. Ah, I see. He turned his attention back to Soot. How long has this fever been going?
Since the Gorge incident. Her hackles raised at Mint's comment. Hush, the grown cats are speaking. She hissed down at Mint.
She huffed and saw Moondance offering her some catmint. She smiled a bit and quickly ate the herb. She started to feel a bit better and turned back to the conversation.
Shock can lead to easier illness, and the rain doesn't help at all.
Well, can you do something? We had plans today. She looked at Oaktail impatiently.
She shivered. Why did Soot mention the Gorge? I thought she wanted to stay quiet about it. She spoke up a bit confused. I thought you didn't want to talk about the Gorge.
Mint, I said shut it! She placed a paw on her back with a warning.
Her fur fluffed up from Soot's touch. I'm just reminding you of what you told me last night. She felt a bit of confidence. Soot couldn't hurt her here. Not in front of Oaktail.
She grumbled and moved over. Well, do what you need to. Just hurry this up. She waited for Oaktail to give Mint some herbs, but when he didn't, she impatiently asked, "Aren't you going to give her anything?"
Oaktail looked at Soot confused. Didn't she just eat catmint?
She nodded. Yeah, Moondance gave me some.
He sighed. Here, he gave Mint some borage. Just in case. Bring her back if she gets worse.
As soon as Mint finished eating the herb, Soot grumbled, "Come on." She picked up Mint by the scruff and began to walk towards the outside of camp. Soot crouched, preparing to leap across the river, only to hesitate as she heard paw steps behind her.
Why are you leaving with Mint Kit?
Her ears flattened, placing Mint behind her and turning to Sleekpelt. "I thought I told you to leave me and my kit alone."
Sleek's tone grew more demanding. She is sick. Mint should be resting in camp.
"She isn't your kit," Soot hissed, turning back to Mint and snatching her up by the scruff, before leaping across the river.
Let go of me! Mint wriggled in Soot's grasp.
Soot stopped, biting harder into Mint's neck fluff. "Hush."
Sleek's claws unsheathed as she pounced on Soot's back.
Soot yowled in shock and anger, falling onto her side as she dropped Mint. "What in the name of StarClan?"
A lone fox approached, taking a spot in front of Mint, trying to shield her from the fight.
You have no right speaking of StarClan. Sleekpelt lifted a paw, slashing it across Soot's cheek.
Soot clawed towards Sleekpelt. "Back off before you regret it."
Please, Sleek, don't get hurt!
Sleek winced for a moment before lunging forward in an attempt to knock Soot over.
Soot held firm, taking a sharp blow to the shoulder. "I don't need to deal with this today."
Mint wailed as Soot picked her up again, reaching out her paws for the young warrior. Sleek!
Reaching a gnarled tree, Soot set Mint down with a growl. "You little pest. You're supposed to listen to me."
Mint gazed up at Soot, her heart pounding as she retorted, You're my mother. You're supposed to love and care for me, not control me.
"And you're a kit who doesn't know any better," she spat. "You failed me, and now I have to deal with it." Soot began to turn away. "Now sit pretty, my dear, and wait for the party to begin."
And if I don't? She tried her best to sound intimidating.
"Then you will disappear from everyone's memory, just like Whispering Kit." Soot smirked.
As she watched Soot run off in the distance, she stayed silent. Tears fell from her eyes as one thought went through her head. Whispering died because I didn't listen.
Sleekpelt remained there as the sky grew darker, hoping Mint would simply return. A lanky Riverclan cat named Duckcall approached with a grimace.
Well, I love drama, but that was a bit much, huh?
He trailed off as Rain, the fox, also came forward before continuing.
I mean, she stole a kit. Should we let the clan know?
Rain spoke up.
I followed that mother with the kit. She was threatening her, and it seems to be a hostage situation. Oh dear, the drama thickens. We should really tell the clan.
Sleek looked up at Rain. Would you mind coming with us? We need to tell them as fast as possible. They all nodded and ran back toward the Riverclan camp.
Soot ran into Riverclan Camp, her hackles raised. She leaped onto the leader's rock, shoving Oaktail off, looking over her clanmates. "Cats of Riverclan, I have taken one of your kits. If you ever wish to see her again, I suggest you give me leadership now."
As soon as Soot made this announcement, the clan made their opinions known. El Nosatom hissed at Soot's words. Another asked for the leader. The kit yelped, You meanie!
Get off the rock, you old crone.
Soot yelled over the crowd. "Do you accept, or are we doing this the hard way?"
Oaktail spoke up. StarClan warned me.
More voices joined in. Back off, Soot! A kit squeaked, "Give us back our friend!"
She flexed her claws. I see you've made your choice.
Sleek hissed loudly before pouncing onto the rock, knocking Soot off.
Nose was the first to join in the fight against Soot. "You ruined the ceremony, you rat brain!" He looked down furiously.
Get off of me, she hissed. It was my ceremony.
"It will never be yours," Tallnose shouted.
Sleek unsheathed her claws and swiped at Soot's muzzle. Oaktail took this chance to run and grab a branch of deadly berries. Pin her down.
Noticing the berries, Soot began to wriggle from underneath the cats, kicking wildly at Sleekpelt's belly. If you kill me, you'll never find that kit.
I've got something to put you out, Oaktail hissed, shoving the berries into Soot's face. StarClan told me about you, and their warning won't go unnoticed. It's against the warrior code to kill. Just drive her out, Sleek shouted over the other cats.
"You're right, but she's a traitor," Tallnose yelled, trying to keep the sheep pinned.
Fine, but StarClan told me this is going to end in travesty if we let it fester.
As they began to debate on what to do with her, Soot squirmed away and darted for the exit.
Mint sat in the cold waiting. Her thoughts raced and she began to panic. A twig snapped and her attention turned to see Soot leaping out of a bush. She looked up, terrified, as the she approached her.
Soot looked over Mint with a dark gaze. Your clanmates decided your little hide wasn't worth it, she spat, her hot breath beating down on the kit. She unsheathed her claws and pinned Mint down.
"Please don't do this, Soot," was all she got out before Soot carved into her sides. She screamed out in pain and fear. This was the first time she had harmed her physically. Pain racked her sides as another she launched out of the bushes, bowling Soot to the ground.
Hey! Soot called out in shock. She hissed at Sleek as she was knocked over.
You leave that kit alone, she snarled, lunging again as her claws sunk into Soot.
Soot yelled from the pain as she rolled onto her back.
She bit at Soot's face, tearing off her lip.
Soot gurgled in fury. The pain from the past events were finally catching up to her as she passed out from the shock.
Sleek's fury began to spill over in waves. Never come near her again, or I will kill you. She spat on the passed out she and turned her attention back to Mint. Come on, little one. We need to get you home. She picked up the kit, taking her back to the camp. Sleekpelt stumbled into the medicine den, crouching at the edge of Mint's nest. She nosed the kit's fluff gently. Mint, are you okay?
I don't know.
Her gaze shifted toward Oaktail, who was sorting herbs. I'm going to take her to the nursery. She set Mint down in a nest, resting her tail over the kit's back. Shh, you're all right. You're safe now, so it will never hurt you again.
She shuddered at the touch and the mention of Soot's name. "Promise?"
She nodded. I'll make sure of it.
"I'm all alone now. First Whispering and now Soot. Both gone."
No, you still have the clan, Mint. You still have me to protect and care for you.
Her head popped up. "You would do that for me?"
After all you've been through, you deserve to be treated as the gift you are.
A small smile went across her face. "You really mean that?"
She nodded, smiling down at her. I promise.
She nodded, but something seemed to be still bothering her. "Soot said that Whispering was supposed to die. That it was my fault that she died. Because I didn't listen. Is that true?" She waited with bated breath, praying that what Soot had said wasn't true.
She grimaced slightly at Mint's comment. None of that rests on your shoulders, okay? So it is a very, very bad cat that did a lot of things to you that should have never happened. You are alive and safe, and Whispering can live on with you. She is always watching from StarClan.
She winced at the reminder that Whispering was gone, heart still broken. "Okay."
She touched her nose to Mint's forehead. Get some rest, okay? You've been through a lot.
She slowly nodded, lying down. She asked one more question. Will you take care of me now? Be my mother?
Her eyes narrowed for a moment with slight confliction, but she nodded. Of course.
She smiled, seeming at peace, knowing that she would be loved and taken care of. She rested her little head between her paws and fell asleep next to Sleek, purring the whole night.
Good night, Mint, she whispered before looking out across the camp, keeping watch over her.